Ladies and gentlemen, not everyone who smiles at you wants the best for you. Some people listen not to understand but to measure you. They don't want to help your dreams grow. They want to know how big they are so they can judge, doubt, or quietly destroy them. That is why your dreams, your plans, and your pain need protection. Not everyone who listens wants the best for you. And this is a truth many people learn too late. Some people listen with curiosity, some with comparison, and some with quiet jealousy. They nod, they smile, they say the right words, but inside they are collecting information not to support you but to measure you. They want to know how far you want to go, how big you are thinking, how serious you are about changing your life, not because they care, but because your growth makes them uncomfortable. There are people who ask questions not to help, but to judge. They want details, timelines, numbers, plans. They want to know what you're doing next, how you're doing it, and why you think you can do it. Their interest feels warm at first, but slowly you realize it comes with doubt, sarcasm, or subtle discouragement. They might not openly tell you to stop, but their reactions make you feel small, confused, or unrealistic. Some people listen only to repeat your story somewhere else. What you share and trust becomes entertainment in another room. Your struggles turn into gossip. Your dreams turn into jokes. And your private moments lose their dignity. You start hearing your own words coming back to you, twisted, exaggerated, misunderstood, and that hurts more than silence ever could. Then there are people who listen and compare. They measure your goals against their limitations. If they failed, they assume you will too. If they never tried, they can't understand why you would. Their advice is often wrapped in fear, not wisdom. They tell you to be careful, to stay realistic, to not expect too much. What they really mean is don't go where we couldn't go. Not everyone has the emotional capacity to hold your truth. Some people feel threatened by growth, because it reminds them of their own stagnation. Your ambition becomes a mirror they don't want to look into. So instead of working on themselves, they question you. Instead of supporting your journey, they highlight every risk, every obstacle, every possible failure. There are also people who listen and disappear when things get hard. They are present when your story sounds inspiring, when your ideas feel exciting, when your future looks bright. But the moment struggle shows up, their attention fades. They don't want to hear about patience, sacrifice, or discipline. They only wanted the version of your story that felt good to them. Listening is not the same as caring. Caring requires intention, maturity, and selflessness. Many people lack these qualities even if they don't lack words. They can listen for hours and still not stand with you when it matters. They can hear everything and still hope you fail just so they feel better about staying where they are. That is why discernment is necessary. You don't owe everyone access to your inner world. You don't have to explain your vision to people who haven't earned your trust. Protecting your words is protecting your direction. Once something is said, it cannot be taken back. And once doubt enters your mind, it takes effort to remove it. Some dreams are fragile in their early stages. They need belief more than feedback, commitment more than commentary. Sharing them with the wrong ears can weaken your confidence, slow your pace, and make you question yourself unnecessarily. Not because your dream is wrong, but because the listener was wrong. Not everyone who listens wants the best for you. And understanding this changes how you move, how you speak, and how you choose your circle. Your heart and your dreams are not public property, even though the world often makes you feel like they should be. From a young age, many people are taught to explain themselves, to justify their choices, to share their plans so others feel comfortable. Slowly, this creates a habit of opening doors that were meant to stay closed. Not every emotion needs to be explained, and not every dream needs an audience. Your heart carries experiences that shaped you, moments that broke you, and hopes that keep you moving forward. These things are personal. When you share them too easily, you give people access to places they may know. Respect. Some will walk through gently, but many will enter carelessly, leaving marks you did not invite. Once those marks are there, they stay longer than words. Dreams are delicate in the beginning. They are built on belief, not proof. When you speak them out loud too soon, they become vulnerable to opinions that were never asked for. People project their fears, failures, and limitations onto what you are trying to build. They might say they are being honest or realistic, but their words can quietly damage your confidence. The need for validation pushes many people to overshare, They want reassurance, approval, or applause. But when your motivation depends on others clapping, it becomes unstable. Some days people will support you, other days they will doubt you, and your energy will rise and fall with their reactions. This makes your journey exhausting and uncertain. Your heart is not a discussion topic. Your pain is not a debate. Your healing does not require permission. When you explain too much, you invite people to judge things they were never meant to evaluate. They may question your choices, minimize your struggles, or suggest solutions without understanding the depth of what you carry. There is a difference between being open and being exposed. Openness is intentional, selective, and safe. Exposure is careless and draining. When everything is shared, nothing feels protected. You start feeling empty because too many people have taken a piece of you without giving anything back. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Trust should be earned through consistency, respect, and understanding. Someone who listens once is not the same as someone who stays when things get uncomfortable. Someone who smiles is not always someone who is safe. Giving access too quickly often leads to regret. Keeping your dreams private does not mean you lack confidence. It means you value them enough to protect them. It means you understand that growth needs space, time, and focus. Silence allows you to work without pressure, to make mistakes without embarrassment, to grow without constant observation. When you stop making your life an open book, you begin to feel grounded. You move with clarity instead of confusion. You start trusting your inner voice more than external noise. Your decisions become stronger because they are rooted in purpose, not approval. Your heart and your dreams are not public property, and treating them with care is an act of self-respect, not secrecy. Silence protects your energy and focus in ways that constant talking never can. Every time you explain yourself, you spend mental and emotional strength. Every time you defend your choices, you lose a little clarity. Words take energy, especially when they are used to justify, convince, or seek approval. Silence, on the other hand, keeps your power where it belongs, within you. When you talk too much about your plans, your mind feels busy, but your progress slows down. You start confuse, ing movement with achievement. Speaking gives a temporary feeling of relief as if something has been done. Even when nothing has changed, silence removes that false comfort and pushes you back into action where real growth happens. Focus is fragile. It breaks easily when too many voices enter your head. Opinions, advice, doubts, and comparisons begin to compete with your own thoughts. Silence acts like a filter. It keeps unnecessary noise out and allows you to hear yourself clearly. When you are quiet, your direction becomes sharper and your decisions become cleaner. Silence also protects you from reacting emotionally. When you respond immediately, you often speak from hurt, anger, or insecurity. These reactions cost energy and create regret. Choosing silence gives you time to breathe, to think, and to respond with intention instead of impulse. That pause alone can save relationships, opportunities, and self-respect. Many people underestimate how draining conversations can be. Not all interactions are equal. Some leave you motivated while others leave you tired without any clear reason. Oversharing, explaining, or defending your life choices to the wrong people slowly drains your strength. Silence acts as a boundary protecting you from emotional exhaustion. Silence does not mean you have nothing to say. It means you are choosing when and where to speak. It is control, not suppression. When your words become fewer, they gain weight. People listen more carefully and you listen or deeply. This balance increases your awareness and presence. In silence, you notice things you would normally miss. Your habits, your patterns, your distractions become clearer. You start recognizing what truly matters and what only pretends to matter. This awareness sharpens your focus and aligns your energy toward meaningful work instead of scattered effort. Silence helps you detach from validation. When you stop seeking reactions, you stop adjusting your behavior to please others. Your actions become self-driven instead of audience-driven. This shift saves a huge amount of mental energy that was previously wasted on worrying about opinions and outcomes you cannot control. There is also strength in not responding to everything. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Choosing silence in these moments protects your peace and keeps your focus intact. It allows you to stay committed to your path instead of getting pulled into unnecessary battles. Silence creates a calm inner environment where creativity and discipline can grow. Your mind becomes less crowded, your goals become clearer, and your effort becomes more intentional. Energy that was once spent on talking, explaining, and reacting gets redirected into building, learning, and becoming. Oversharing invites unnecessary opinions and doubt, even when it feels harmless at first. Many people share because they want connection, understanding, or relief. Talking makes emotions feel light for a moment, but it also opens doors that were meant to stay closed. Once something is shared, it no longer belongs only to you. It becomes subject to interpretation, judgment, and reaction. Not everyone gives opinions with care. Some speak from their own fears, not from wisdom. When you overshare your plans, people often respond based on what they could or could not do in their own lives. Their words may sound practical, but they are often limited by their personal experiences. Slowly, their doubts begin to mix with your confidence. Oversharing also creates confusion in your own mind. Hearing too many perspectives pulls you in different directions. One person says go fast, another says wait, another says stop completely. Instead of clarity, you feel overwhelmed. The excitement you once had becomes heavy with questions, and momentum is replaced by hesitation. There is a difference between seeking guidance and collecting opinions. Guidance comes from a few trusted sources who understand you. Opinions come from everywhere, often unsolicited. When you overshare, you invite feedback from people who are not invested in your growth. Their words stay in your head longer than they should. Doubt grows quietly. It does not arrive loudly or forcefully. It enters through casual comments, jokes, raised eyebrows, and half-supportive statements. Someone might say, "That sounds hard," or "Are you sure now is the right time?" These words may seem small, but they plant seeds that question on your ability and timing. Oversharing also makes you vulnerable to comparison. Once others know your plans, they begin measuring your progress. You start feeling watched, evaluated, and expected to explain delays or changes. This pressure steals joy from the process and turns growth into performance. Some people overshare to feel motivated. They talk about what they are going to do instead of doing it. This creates a false sense of progress. The brain releases satisfaction from talking, which reduces the urgency to act. As a result, action gets delayed and doubt increases when results don't appear. Not everyone deserves access to your unfinished thoughts. Early ideas are messy. They need time to develop without interference. When shared too soon, they get shaped by other people's expectations instead of your true intention. This can lead you away from what you actually want. Oversharing can also weaken boundaries. When people know too much, they feel entitled to comment, question, or interfere. They may ask for updates, suggest changes, or express disappointment if you choose a different path. This creates emotional pressure that distracts from your purpose. Choosing to share less is an act of self-protection. It allows you to grow quietly without noise, without doubt being fed from outside. When opinions are limited, confidence has room to strengthen. When doubt is not constantly reinforced, belief stays intact. Oversharing invites unnecessary opinions and doubt. And knowing when to stay quiet helps you protect your direction, your energy, and your trust in yourself. You were not born to live someone else's dream. Yet, many people spend their entire lives doing exactly that. They follow paths chosen for them, expectations handed to them, and goals that never truly belong to their heart. At first, it feels like responsibility, like obedience, like doing the right thing, but over time, it turns into quiet regret. From an early age, people are told who they should become, what success should look like, what choices are acceptable. Slowly, these voices grow louder than your own. You start measuring your life by standards that don't reflect who you are, and without realizing it, you begin chasing a future that feels empty. Even when you're moving closer to it, living someone else's dream often starts with good intentions. You don't want to disappoint your parents. You don't want to upset your family. You don't want to seem ungrateful. So you compromise. You delay your own desires. You tell yourself you'll do what you want later, but later keeps moving further away. When you live for someone else's vision, your motivation fades. You feel tired even when you're achieving things. Success doesn't feel satisfying because it isn't aligned. You reach milestones and still feel lost. That confusion is not a lack of gratitude. It is a lack of authenticity. There is a silent pressure that comes with carrying dreams that are not yours. You constantly feel behind, not because you're failing, but because your heart is not invested. Passion cannot be forced. Purpose cannot be borrowed. When the dream is not yours, discipline feels heavy and progress feels hollow. Many people ignore this feeling because they fear change. Change means uncertainty. It means disappointing people. It means stepping into the unknown, so they stay where they are, convincing themselves that comfort is enough. But comfort without meaning slowly turns into frustration. Your life has its own rhythm, its own strengths, its own calling. When you ignore that, you move against yourself. You compare your journey to others and feel inadequate. You blame yourself for not being excited about a path that was never meant for you. Living someone else's dream also affects your self-worth. You start believing that your value comes from meeting expectations, not from being true. You become afraid to disappoint, even when disappointment is the cost of honesty. This fear keeps you trapped in roles that don't fit. Choosing your own path does not mean rejecting others. It means honoring yourself. It means accepting that your life is yours to live, not a performance for approval. People may not understand your choices. They may question your decisions. But understanding is not required for truth. When you begin to listen to yourself, things start to shift. Your energy changes, your focus sharpens. Your work feels more natural. Even challenges feel meaningful because they are kane. Get to something you believe in. Struggle feels different when it serves your own purpose. There will always be voices telling you what you should do. Society will always offer definitions of success. But only you have to live with the consequences of your choices. Only you carry the weight of regret if you ignore your own calling. You are allowed to redefine success. You are allowed to choose a life that makes sense to you. You are allowed to walk away from paths that don't feel right, even if others are comfortable walking them. Your life is not an obligation to fulfill unfinished dreams of others. It is a chance to discover your own direction at your own pace, in your own way. Some people break things they don't understand, not always with intention, but through carelessness and fear. When someone cannot relate to your vision, your pain, or your growth, they often respond in ways that damage it. They may ask insensitive questions, give advice that does not fit, or dismiss what matters to you. Their lack of understanding becomes a silent threat to what you are building. Understanding requires effort, patience, and empathy. Many people do not want to invest these things. It is easier to judge than to learn, easier to label than to listen deeply. When you share something important with someone who does not understand it, you place it in hands that do not know how to hold it gently. People often fear what is unfamiliar. When your goals are different, when your path does not match theirs, it creates discomfort. Instead of exploring that discomfort, they try to reduce it by questioning you. They may say your idea is risky, unrealistic, or unnecessary. These words are not always meant to hurt, but they can still weaken your confidence. Some people break things by minimizing them. They make your struggles seem small, your emotions seem exaggerated, and your dreams seem ordinary. This invalidation makes you feel unseen and misunderstood. Over time, it can cause you to doubt your own experiences, even when they are real and valid. There are also people who break things through control. They want to reshape your ideas into something they recognize. They push their opinions, their methods, and their timelines onto you. What started as your vision slowly turns into a version that no longer feels like yours. This loss of ownership is subtle but painful. Not everyone knows how to support growth. Growth is messy, slow, and uncertain. People who prefer comfort and familiarity struggle to stand beside someone who is evolving. They want clear answers, quick results, and predictable outcomes. When they don't get these, their frustration shows sharing with the wrong. People can make you feel like you have to explain yourself constantly. You start justifying your choices instead of trusting them. This drains energy and creates distance between you and your own intuition. The more you explain, the more disconnected you feel from your original purpose. Some people break things simply by talking too much. They share your story with others, add their own interpretations, and spread it without care. What was personal becomes public, and what was meaningful becomes casual conversation. This loss of privacy can damage trust deeply. Protecting what matters to you does not mean assuming everyone has bad intentions. It means recognizing that understanding is rare. It means choosing carefully who gets access to your inner world. When something is important, it deserves to be handled by someone who respects its value. Not everything needs to be shared, and not everyone needs to be involved. When you protect what you are building from those who do not understand it, you give it space to grow safely and steadily without being broken before it becomes strong. Loneliness can heal more than wrong company. This idea feels uncomfortable to many people because loneliness is often seen as something negative, something to escape from. People are taught to fear being alone, as if it means failure or rejection. So they surround themselves with anyone even if that company costs them their peace. Wrong company does not always look harmful on the surface. Sometimes it laughs with you, sits beside you, and shares memories with you, but it drains you emotionally. It makes you doubt yourself. It keeps you stuck in patterns you are trying to outgrow. And because it feels familiar, you convince yourself it is better than being alone. Loneliness, on the other hand, is whole. Saint. It does not pretend to care. It does not confuse you with mixed signals. It gives you silence, and in that silence you hear yourself again. At first, that silence feels heavy. You notice the absence of noise, distraction, and validation. But slowly that quiet becomes space. Wrong company keeps you busy avoiding yourself. Loneliness gives you the chance to face yourself. It brings up thoughts you ignored and emotions you buried. This can be uncomfortable, but discomfort is often where healing begins. You cannot fix what you never allow yourself to feel. Being around the wrong people teaches you to tolerate less. You start accepting disrespect because it is familiar. You laugh at things that hurt you. You stay quiet to keep peace. Over time, you forget what healthy connection feels like. Loneliness resets that memory. It reminds you that peace exists without performance. Loneliness is not emptiness. It is a pause. A pause from explaining yourself. A pause from adjusting your personality. A pause from carrying conversations and relationships alone. In that pause, your nervous system relaxes, your thoughts slow down, your emotional wounds get air. Wrong company often keeps you small. It reinforces old versions of you. It resists your growth because your change threatens their comfort. Loneliness, however, does not resist your growth. It gives you room to evolve without judgment or comparison. Many people stay in wrong company because they fear missing out. They fear being full, forgotten. They fear not belonging, but belonging that requires self. Betrayal is not belonging. It is endurance. Loneliness may feel cold at first, but it does not ask you to betray yourself. Healing often requires separation. Separation from noise. Separation from opinions. Separation from expectations. Loneliness provides that separation naturally. It allows you to rebuild your sense of self without interference. It teaches you how to enjoy your own presence again. When you spend time alone, you begin to notice what you truly need. Your standards become clearer. Your boundaries become firmer. You become less available for connections that do not respect you. This clarity does not come from crowds. It comes from quiet reflection. Wrong company fills time but empties you. Loneliness empties time but fills you. It reconnects you with your thoughts, values, and goals. It shows you that your worth does not depend on constant interaction or attention. Choosing loneliness over wrong company is an act of courage. It means you value peace over distraction. It means you trust yourself enough to sit with your own thoughts. It means you are no longer afraid of your own company. Loneliness does not mean you will always be alone. It means you are making space for healthier connections. Connections that add to your life instead of draining it. Connections that respect your silence as much as your presence. Sometimes being alone is not the absence of people. It is the absence of pressure. In that absence, healing begins quietly, steadily, and honestly. Stop proving your worth to people who doubt it. The need to prove yourself often comes from a place of fear. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being rejected. Fear of not being enough. So you work harder, explain more, give more, and tolerate more, hoping that one day they will finally see your value. At first it feels reasonable. You think if you show consistency, loyalty, and effort, doubts will disappear. You believe that actions will speak louder than assumptions. But when someone has already decided not to see you clearly, no amount of proof will change their mind. They are not looking for truth. They are looking for control. When you try to prove your worth, you hand your power away. You allow others to decide whether you are deserving. You let their opinion define your confidence, and slowly your self-esteem becomes dependent on their reactions. Appreciation becomes a reward. Silence becomes punishment. People who doubt your worth often benefit from your insecurity. They question you so you stay busy defending yourself. They minimize you so you keep trying harder. This dynamic keeps you focused on earning validation instead of recognizing your value. And the more you chase their approval, the more distant it becomes. You don't owe anyone a performance of your pain. You don't have to justify your boundaries. You don't need to explain why something hurts you. When someone truly respects you, they don't require